It's that time of year. Are you guys ready? The first mock draft from RGR for the Kansas City Chiefs is right now. As we get ready for this offseason, let's get after it. Welcome to RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. This is RGR Football. I'm Ryan, and this is me going rogue. Ryan going rogue. And tonight you get me. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. I wanted to get this so that you can get that sting out of your life. Watch the game and try to enjoy it. I'm going to put this up before the actual football game begins so that you can enjoy that. You can watch it after. You may be catching it after right now. So welcome. Like, sub, and hit the bell because we're here all the time. Me and my entire crew are going to keep churning out content for you on the Kansas City Chiefs all offseason. I am heavy into the draft. I am the owner of Rogue Analytics Performance Consulting as well as RGR Media. This is what we do. So we're going to dig in and get after it. A lot of fans out there are ready to add some talent to this roster. We're going to go through, and this one in particular, we're going to vary this. We'll do one every Sunday, whether it's live, whether it's pre-recorded like this one. We're going to do mocks constantly to get an idea of all the scenarios. This is exactly what Brett Veach and the Chiefs front office do every year. They go through scenario after scenario after scenario about what could happen. So we're going to go through that as well. And today, it'll just be me selecting. When we're live in the next couple of weeks, we'll do this together. And we'll all talk about it in the chat and we'll make a decision. Today, we'll see how many rounds that we do once we get in there, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to do it continually. Tomorrow night will be the Q&A like normal. We're going to keep that through the offseason as well, but I wanted to get started today because I'm ready to add some talent to this roster. I think that's going to be pretty important. So I'm going to bring it up here, and we're going to move kind of around who and what we're going to do in terms of the engines that we use for creating the mock live drafts. And today we're going to start with our friends, Joe Marino and the crew over at the Draft Network. Their engine works really well, and they've got it updated for the Chiefs' current pick, and that's why I selected it today. I'm going to try to adjust this window and make it a little bit more visible so that you guys can see that a little more readily. Okay, so there we go. And we're going to select the Chiefs. We're going to move, and I think right now we can probably go through and today just do the whole thing. We'll let it pick fast for us when we're not on the clock, and we'll see what comes. Now, because I'm part of the site and pay the membership and that kind of thing, there are going to be some trade offers. I'm not going to deal with trades today because I just think that's too much involved right now for what we're doing as the actual Super Bowl is about to happen. So we're just going to kick this off and we're going to let it go. And we'll see how they all come off the board here today. Doesn't mean it's going to happen next week. It's definitely going to be very, very different. But here's a trade offer with the Green Bay Packers wanting to come back 2 picks and pick up a 7th. I'm not really interested in going up. And so, again, we're going to decline all these right now. And that's perfectly fine. Washington football team wants to come up too. That's a storied group of picks that we're not going to entertain. But so right now on the clock, scenario number 1, this first mock draft of the offseason for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is what we have available. Two quarterbacks at the top that obviously the Chiefs don't need. Now, there is a quarterback available later. They'll be on day 3 that I think might be intriguing as the backup apparent. I think he has low-level starter ceiling and definitely high-end backup potential. We'll get to him later. So the Chiefs are on the clock, and while we'd love to see an edge here that we thought we could make some money on, Cam Thomas just went off. Even Karlaftis went. Trayvon, Ajabo, Jermaine Johnson jumping up in the top 10. I don't think that actually happens, but that's story for another day. So what we do have here is not a lot of edge talent left. And this is a possibility. There could be this very scenario happen for the Chiefs, their first-round pick, that they don't have an edge that's worth a first-round grade or even a high second-round grade. There could be 0 top 50 graded edges left by the time the Chiefs pick at 30. That's just the way that it could go. So what do we do then? I think we all know that need some help at wide receiver for that third weapon. Also need some help at corner. I think that would be very intriguing as well. The other thing that stands out to me here as I look at the list, Nakobe Dean just went off the board, which means my LB1 should still be available, but maybe he went off even earlier, so maybe that's not true. No, Devin Lloyd went off at 21. Christian Harris is my number 3 currently as well. Haven't done all the linebackers yet, just scratching the surface on them. I've been functioning on the edges. So we're not going to go down and grab Christian Harris yet. So looking at what the board could be, I think in this scenario, we have to look at the wide receiver group because it's there. And I think a lot of people are going to be excited to have a powerful pass catching X receiver available, a guy that I think can overcome some of the things that we've seen. He's not going to burn down the bridges. He's not going to run deep. He's going to be a guy that you can throw contested balls to, and he's going to win. It's very simple for me here. With this group on the board, I like Jahan Dotson a lot. I think he's more of a top 40, like day 2 guy. So with Drake London, it's just too easy to fit. We're going to put him on the Chiefs, and we're going to be very happy to have it. Let me know if you guys are. Leave your comments down below. And if you're watching this live on the premiere, as I pre-recorded this, you can still comment live. Let me know what you guys think of that as well. We're going to see what happens. Again, I'm denying all the trade offers. We'll go through this. Josh Paschal was that edge I was going to look at in the second round. Looks like he just went off the board. Who grabbed him? Looks like it was the Cardinals. They're trying to replace Chandler Jones, who might be a free agent guy that the Chiefs could look at. So now we're back on the clock. A lot of tight end value here. I'm fine with that. Brian Asamoah had a great Senior Bowl day. I'm not ready to pull the trigger on him as a linebacker right here yet. So the question becomes, Christian Watson would be a nice fit at wide receiver too. And so we'll remember that for next week when we come back. The second and third round, that's where you want to look for him. He's not a first-round player. As much as I like what I saw at the Senior Bowl, he is not a first-round player. So that leaves us with a couple of question marks. Myjai Sanders is here, a guy that I like and I think can give a speed rush option. Very similar to Josh Kando in that he's long and lanky, except his production was way better than Kando's. And I think, again, this is post-Senior Bowl, pre-combine, so we don't have the measurements yet. You guys know that the athletic metrics will contain all that. Myjai Sanders is in an actual like up position for me from Josh Kano. That would be an option. So would Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson's a lot more raw, and Nick Benito is a true like more 3-4 outside linebacker, but he has the best production of any of these guys. So I'd be tempted there. We'll see if he's available with the next pick because maybe we have to double up. I think of the guys here, I don't want to go interior, although the Chiefs are going to need some bolstering there as well. Interior offensive line is not something that they have to look at here, as good as Kennard is. I think at the end of the day, we want to take one of these edges, and I think the top-rated guy is reflective of my board as it stands right now. So Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati is going to come over and help rebuild, as I spill my coffee, help rebuild that edge position. Now, there's a lot that could be done there. It doesn't mean that they're over, and it doesn't mean that they had to do that. That's just this scenario, and we'll cover something else different next week. We're going to come back around to the Chiefs in 94, and you can see that Nick Benito just went off the edge there. It's because he's not really a 4-3 defensive lineman. As much as I like him, as productive as he will, I'll do a breakdown on him. We'll have plenty of film on him coming for this season as well. So now we're looking at straight value. Boy, Maffe's here as well, who had a great Senior Bowl. I think is going to test out the window, and you're going to see more from him on this channel as well. And now you get into the value linebackers. And my linebacker 3 is still here at Chad Muma. That's very tempting for me right now, but let's see what else we have available to us. Some lower corners. I know a lot of people are going to be saying Leo Chanel, power backer, not a coverage backer, not what the Chiefs are looking for. I believe that Nick Bolton has to be their middle, and they need 2 other guys that can run and cover and possibly play in the nickel. Laquetta is another linebacker / edge that's interesting. Tyreek Smith is going to be a lower down edge with upside. Kobe Bryant is a corner that I like. We'll try to come back and get him here in a little bit because what I think the best value is on this board right here is Chad Muma. So now you have 3 consecutive years where in the top 100, you've been able to select a linebacker that can get on the field and can do things that you haven't had before. And that brings up the 4th pick. And this is the one that the Chiefs got for Ryan Poles as he was hired as the general manager in Chicago. And so it's likely to be here at 102. It's not guaranteed. It could move around and we won't know until they announce the official draft order. but we're going to pick it as though it was. And so that brings us back around to a lot of the secondary talent at some of the defensive positions. And this is where I think you find value. I like the fact that we have options here. The weapon that I see here is probably top of my list of this group that you can see here on the screen, is very specifically a tight end, not a running back. Although James Cook in this offense might be a home run hitter, I still have trouble pulling the trigger on a top 100 running back when we just drafted Clyde and we saw what happens there and that kind of thing. So he's definitely an option here. And depending on how they go, the Chiefs might do that. I'm not going to right now because I think running back is something we can get later in the draft or in free agency that's going to help. So what does that tell me? I want somebody beyond Blake Bell and beyond Noah Gray. Noah Gray's an experiment. I don't know that it's going to work out. It didn't work out the first year, but he's got a lot of progress he can make. But let's make it easier for him. Let's take the guy that I think most in this draft reflects some of the things that Travis can do in splitting out and running routes that get clean, and he has great hands. Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin is going to be a Chief and help that tight end room. So if they're going to play too deep, you can hurt him with more than just one tight end in Travis Kelce, especially as Travis gets a little bit older. You want to take some of that stress off of it. And then we're going to go through, kick out the rest of these trade offers and kind of let them go by the wayside. And we're coming up on 133, and that's where they're currently slotted. We'll see if that works out. Not 100%. And we don't know how many comp picks there will be. So all these positions are going to change throughout the offseason until we get the official draft order. Just keep that in mind. And so now we get to the point where some of the value at safety is here. You can see that here at the top. Demarion Mathis actually played some nickel at Senior Bowl, so I know he can do that as well. We have Tyrese Robinson's an interesting guy. Jalen Watson is the corner from Washington State. He had a couple of nice reps and showed out there. But this is where I think you can continue to look at how do you make the defensive rebuild better. And I like a couple of options here. This is where it gets iffy, is that my rankings are going to vary very drastically from this particular board. And so I'm going to do something a little outlandish and really go on the offensive side for right now, because the safety that I think could really fit and help this team in this level, I think is going to be available in the next round. So we're going to take another Cincinnati player in Jerome Ford that I think can hit that backfield, offers you the speed option, can run in between the tackles if he has to, and really round out that room. And in the fourth round, I can deal with that. 133, I can deal with that. I just couldn't do it in the top 100. And I know you guys wanted me to look at Cook. So maybe we'll do that next time and see how that scenario falls out next week. As we tick down here, we have a ways to go. The Chiefs are going to be down here a little bit in that we have a weight. We're going to, stop that. 189. So it was a 2-round drop. And because I paused, I think it went and grabbed us a corner. We're going to let that slide for today. Not what I would have done there. And it looks like that's probably going to mess up what my plan was. And I will tell you, Brian Cook from Cincinnati was another player that I was going to look at in that area, because I thought that was going to be worth the time, a guy that can do what you need him to do to help play that middle ground, the robber to the box kind of thing. Dan Sorensen should not be back on this roster. I think that's just the way that it's going to work out. So now we're well down into the 7th round, and we need to get value. Are there safeties left that can do that? I can't believe Ron McKinley is here. That's the likely pick here, to tell you the truth. But we got to do our due diligence and see what else is here. Smoke Monday's another player at this level that I'd love to go grab. There's going to be opportunity there. So 2 players that I think can actually help them rebuild and add depth to that safety. I do expect safety to be something they look at in free agency as well. So I'm not too concerned that we haven't gotten there yet. Safety is a higher need. I do think there's an opportunity to get a right tackle. I don't think I like them in this spot very much, to tell you the truth. Let's double check that we can't get another weapon at the wide receiver spot, even though we already have. In that we've actually gone straight down the middle, 3 defenders, 3 offensive players. So given that there's nobody here that really stands out to me, I don't think Datario Drummond lasts this long either. And my boy Stearns is going to be there in a minute. We'll come back for him. So let's go to safety. And this really comes down to coverage versus box. And I think McKinley can do a little bit more of it all. Good couple of days at the Senior Bowl. We're going to put him on this roster and add to that safety depth in a way that I think will actually help them quite a bit. We're going to go back, and this is one of my draft crushes, a guy that Probably shouldn't be as productive as he is, but he's extremely productive. And Jareth Stearns is going to join that wide receiver group because he is short, he's squat, he's got good speed. I don't think he's going to test out the box and really jump out the gym or anything like that, but he knows how to run routes. He's an underneath slot receiver predominantly, and he can take a whooping. He is really thickly built. His build reminds me of Steve Smith, the Panthers receiver, that he can take hits, but he understands how to get open against zone. He understands where he needs to be to help his quarterback. And his quarterback had a hair trigger and a guy that looks like he did go off the board. We'll come back to that later, or maybe I'll just save that for next time. Because as we get back around to the Chiefs' next pick here at 248, this will be their last one. We really just want to take value and get the best that we can. Guys that stand out to me here, Neil Farrell, I thought is an energy bringer. He's not exactly a dominant player, defensive tackle from LSU. A guy that I think could bring the room up, bring the floor of the defensive tackle room up. I don't think he's going to push your ceiling up. So it really is about, can they get somebody next to Chris Jones that can be his number two in the pass rush? I think Farrell can help you in ways, but that's not necessarily it. So as I look down, I like Nephi Sewell. Definitely as a late round guy would be a value that I think you might look at. Roberson's there still. I mean, I think this decision's coming down pretty easily, as nobody is really popping out to me other than the couple of guys at the top. Now, Baker is a guy that's got a good reputation. I haven't done his film yet, so I'm kind of waiting on that. We have other needs. Let's double check at the corner depth, because you always want corner depth. See if there's any of my guys that stood out. Castro Fields, I thought, had a rough week at the Senior Bowl. I'm not sure I'm so intrigued by him at this point, but he might be the biggest name at this position. Not necessarily one that I'm going to grab. The edges, I don't see anything here worth taking a big risk on. Almost thought that was Miami, Ohio. And so we're going to go back to the defensive tackle, and Neil Farrell's going to be the guy. He's the best on this list at this point. I think, again, will bring some energy to the room, and they could use that, because you should have Noddy re-signed. You're going to have Colin Saunders on the last year of his rookie contract, as I believe I have that right. And you need to bolster it. You need to pick it up. So at the end of the day, this is what we've accomplished. Drake London for a starting X receiver, Myjai Sanders as a speed rusher off the edge that can actually hold his own against bigger, stronger tackles, plays with more power than you would expect. Chad Muma comes back and becomes the designated coverage linebacker, the third linebacker that comes in. He can play the Sam. He's played middle as well. He can do a little bit of it all, but he and Willie flanking Nick Bolton is a trio that's scary. And then you would end up with Willie and Muma in the nickel, because Muma is a coverage linebacker first. And I think that's something that the Chiefs do need. As much as they've tried to make Ben Neiman that, he's not. So I think this will address that issue. Then Jake Ferguson gives them a second tight end that is worth throwing to. Jerome Ford can bring some spark into the running back room, much like McKinnon did. He's not as fast as McKinnon, but I do think he'll test decently. So that's a nice plus side. This got auto-picked for us. Taylor Stewart from USC. We'll live with that. I think you can coach him up. Somebody can be a contributor as a depth guy. Next week, we'll do something different, I'm sure. And then Verone McKinley is a nice find at that depth, as is Jareth Stearns, a guy that would make this roster, I guarantee you. Unless they make like 3 acquisitions in free agency, he will make this roster. He is a crafty runner. And then Neil Farrell to round it out and bring depth to your defensive tackle room. I really like the way that worked out, despite the hiccup there at 189. It gives us some options, and it gives the Chiefs a nice defensive-oriented draft that has a couple of sparks on the offensive side to help continue to strengthen your strength. Because at the end of the day, you want to give Patrick all that you can give him and help him get out of the funk that we've seen the last year. I think that will help. Let me know what you guys think of all of these picks. Which one stood out to you? Which one do you like the best? Let me know in the comments or the live chat, or both. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell. I'll be back tomorrow with the Q&A live at 6 p.m. Central, like we are all the time. And I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Chiefs Breakdown is the Sunday night show. It's usually post-game. But through this particular offseason, we're going to go draft-oriented. And we'll do the mocks, whether they're live or recorded. But every Sunday night, you will have content from me as well, personally. So I hope that you guys are ready for it. Go enjoy the Super Bowl, or if you're catching this after, I hope that you enjoyed it. And get ready for next week because 2022 Chiefs season starts right now. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. We'll catch you next.